I never thought a single piece of paper could change the way I looked at the woman I loved. But that's exactly what happened the night I reached into her bag, completely by accident, and pulled out something I wasn't supposed to see. My hands froze, my heart started pounding, and in that moment, the room around me felt smaller, heavier, like the air itself didn't want me to breathe. What I found wasn't just a document. It was a crack in everything I believed about us. And the worst part? It had my name on it. See, I've been with Emily for 5 years. 5 years of late-night talks, Sunday morning pancakes, and all the little things that made me think we were unbreakable. I wasn't snooping through her stuff, I swear. I was just looking for her phone charger when my fingers brushed against a folded stack of papers tucked neatly in a side pocket. At first, I thought it was some work file or maybe receipts. But when I pulled it out and read the first few words, my stomach dropped. Petition for dissolution of marriage. I remember blinking, thinking maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it belonged to someone else. But no, my name was right there. Black ink, bold letters, undeniable truth staring me in the face. Emily wanted out. She wanted to end us. And here's the thing. I didn't confront her right away. I should have, right? That's what most people would do. But something in me, fear, shock, I don't even know, made me slip the papers back into her bag as quietly as I found them. I acted normal that night, even though inside, I was falling apart. She laughed at something on TV, leaned her head on my shoulder, and I just sat there, smiling like my whole world hadn't just caved in. But that was only the beginning. Because 2 days later, when I was still trying to figure out if I should bring it up, something else happened. Something even stranger. Emily's younger sister, Claire, stopped by our place. She's always been around, friendly, sweet, maybe a little too curious sometimes. That night, she showed up with a book she said she borrowed from me months ago. I didn't think much of it. She handed it over, we chatted a little, and then she left. Later, when I finally opened that book to put it back on the shelf, a folded piece of paper slipped out from between the pages. My first thought? More receipts, maybe a note she used as a bookmark. But no, this wasn't random. This was deliberate. It was a letter, a handwritten letter. And it wasn't from Emily. It was from Claire. My hands trembled as I unfolded it, scanning the words, realizing that Emily's sister, her own flesh and blood, had written something to me. Something I never expected. And the words at the very top made my chest tighten. I need to tell you the truth about your marriage. Emily and I weren't a picture-perfect couple, but if you had asked me a month ago, I would have said we were solid. She was the kind of woman who walked into a room and somehow made everyone soften. She had this calm energy, the sort of presence that made me believe in stability. We met at a friend's barbecue 5 years back. She spilled a drink on me, laughed nervously, and then apologized so many times that I had to laugh too. That was the beginning. From then on, she became home to me. Her smile, her routines, even the way she always left the closet light on because she was scared of the dark. I thought I knew her fears, her dreams, her secrets. I thought I was safe in that knowledge. But now, with those divorce papers burned into my memory, I couldn't shake the thought that maybe I never really knew her at all. Claire, on the other hand, had always been around the edges of our relationship. She's 3 years younger than Emily, brighter in a different way, more impulsive, more outspoken. If Emily was the calm, steady river, Claire was the wild stream you weren't sure you could cross. She'd show up unannounced, crash on our couch after late nights, and sometimes confide in me about things Emily didn't know. Nothing inappropriate, just little things. Too many little things, maybe. I used to brush it off, thinking she just trusted me as family. But after that letter, I wasn't so sure anymore. Before all of this, Emily and I had been talking about buying a house. She wanted something with a small garden. I wanted a place with enough space for a workshop. We even went to a couple of open houses, argued playfully over paint colors, and stood in empty living rooms imagining our future. How do you go from that to divorce papers hidden in your bag? What did I miss? The nights leading up to finding the letter from Claire were normal, eerily normal. Emily still kissed me goodnight, still laughed at my bad jokes. If she was planning to leave, she was hiding it better than anyone I've ever known. That was the scariest part. The idea that she could look me in the eye, touch my hand, and at the same time be ready to walk away. And then there was Claire's note. I need to tell you the truth about your marriage. What truth? Was she trying to protect her sister or destroy her? The way she wrote it, shaky letters, like her hand wasn't steady. made me wonder if she was afraid too. Afraid of what I'd discover, or afraid of what might happen once I did. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, the letter folded on my nightstand. I wanted to wake Emily up, ask her everything. But instead, I stayed silent, caught between two impossible choices: pretend I never saw any of it, or dive into a truth that might break me. And just as I thought I had decided, something happened the next morning that made it impossible to ignore anymore. The next morning, Emily moved around the kitchen like nothing was wrong. She was humming softly, flipping pancakes just the way I liked them, sliding a plate in front of me like it was any other day. But inside, I couldn't taste a thing. My mind was still on that letter hidden in my nightstand drawer, those divorce papers tucked in her bag. Every word, every movement, felt like a performance now. I kept watching her hands as she poured syrup, the easy smile she gave me. How could she smile like that if she was planning to leave? Or worse, was the smile part of the plan? I forced myself to act normal, but my voice cracked when I asked, "You sleep okay?" She nodded, sipping her coffee, no hesitation at all. It made me wonder if she already knew I'd found the papers. Was she waiting for me to bring it up? Testing how long I'd keep quiet. Then my phone buzzed. A message. I thought it might be work, but when I glanced down, my chest tightened. It was Claire. "Did you read it?" My stomach flipped. She wasn't subtle. She wasn't careful. She wanted me to know she had put that letter there. And if Emily saw the text, everything would explode. I slipped my phone face down on the table, palms sweating. That entire day, I carried a storm inside me. Every time Emily touched my arm, every time she laughed, I wondered, was it love, or was it a goodbye she hadn't spoken yet? And what truth was Claire holding over me? If she wanted to warn me, why hadn't she just said it to my face? Why write a secret letter and risk everything? By the evening, I couldn't take it anymore. Claire's message kept burning in my pocket. I typed back just one word: yes. Then I stared at the screen, waiting. Minutes dragged into hours before her reply finally appeared. "Then you know she isn't who you think she is. But there's more. I can't tell you here." My heart raced. I looked over at Emily, sitting on the couch, curled up with a blanket, scrolling through her phone like the most ordinary woman in the world. But all I could think was, who was she really? And just when I thought I'd lose my mind with questions, my phone buzzed again. This time, Claire's message wasn't words, it was a photo. A photo of Emily. But not with me. The photo nearly slipped out of my hands. My first instinct was to deny what I was seeing, to convince myself it was a trick of the light, some old picture dug up to stir trouble. But no, there was no mistaking her. Emily. My Emily. Standing far too close to someone who wasn't me. They weren't kissing, not in that frame, but the way she was leaning into him, the way his hand rested on her back like it belonged there, it was enough to slice through me. My chest tightened, every breath sharp and jagged. I stared at the screen, frozen, the sounds of the living room blurring into nothing. Emily was only a few feet away, laughing softly at something on her phone, completely unaware that I was holding proof of something I wasn't ready to name. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I wanted to demand answers from Claire, but part of me was terrified of what she'd say. So instead, I typed, "When was this taken?" Seconds later, her reply came. Last week. Last week. Not months ago. Not before us. Not a mistake from the past. Last week, when Emily and I were visiting open houses, dreaming about paint colors and gardens, she was, what? Meeting him. Smiling at him like she used to smile at me. I felt heat rush through my veins. Anger and heartbreak colliding so fast I could barely keep my face still. Emily glanced over, noticing something in my expression. "You okay?" she asked, her voice light, casual. I swallowed hard. "Yeah, just work stuff." A lie. My first real lie to her. It tasted bitter, but what choice did I have? If I showed my hand too early, I wouldn't get the truth. I needed to hear it all, straight from her or Claire. The hours dragged. Emily eventually drifted off to bed, leaving me alone in the dim glow of the living room. That's when Claire messaged again. "We need to meet. Tomorrow. Don't tell her." I didn't reply right away. My hands shook as I stared at those words. Why me? Why involve me in this web of betrayal? And yet, I couldn't ignore her. I had to know. That night, sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the photo, the hand on her back, the softness in her smile. Morning came, and Emily kissed me on the cheek before heading out, like it was any other day. My chest screamed with questions, but I kept quiet. I waited until I knew she was gone, then grabbed my jacket and slipped out to meet Claire. She chose a small cafe on the edge of town, quiet, tucked away, the kind of place you'd go if you didn't want to be seen. When I walked in, she was already there, waiting. Her eyes were red, like she hadn't slept either. The moment I sat down, she leaned in close, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's something you need to know. Something Emily will never tell you." She glanced around nervously, lowering her voice even further. "And if you don't hear it from me, you'll never know the truth." Claire's hands trembled as she slid something across the table, a folded envelope, thick, worn at the edges. I hesitated before opening it, my pulse hammering in my ears. Inside wasn't another photo. It was a letter, but not from Claire this time. It was from Emily. My breath caught. The handwriting was hers, no doubt about it. The words at the top made my vision blur. "If you're reading this, it means I couldn't keep the secret any longer." I looked up at Claire, my voice shaking. "Why do you have this?" She pressed her lips together, tears welling in her eyes. "Because she wasn't planning to give it to you. She gave it to me instead, to destroy it." The cafe walls felt like they were closing in. Emily hadn't just hidden divorce papers. She'd hidden this too. But why? And then Claire leaned closer, her next words landing like a punch to the gut. "She's not leaving you for him. She's leaving you because she's been hiding something about me." My pulse was roaring in my ears. Claire's words didn't make sense. What did she mean this was about her? I unfolded the letter again, my eyes racing over Emily's handwriting, each word heavier than the last. "I've tried to protect him from the truth, but Claire won't stop. She's crossed lines I can't forgive. If he finds out, he'll hate us both." My chest tightened. I looked up at Claire, searching her face for answers, but she was already crying. "She wasn't leaving you for another man," she whispered. "She was leaving to protect you from me." I shook my head, anger and confusion mixing into something unbearable. "Protect me from what?" Claire's lips trembled. "Because I'm in love with you." The air cracked open. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Claire, Emily's sister, confessing the very thing I had tried to ignore all these years, the lingering looks, the late-night talks, the way she always seemed too close. And Emily knew. That was why she'd hidden the divorce papers. That was why she wanted to end us. Because her sister had fallen for me, and she thought walking away was the only way to stop it. I pushed back from the table, my chair scraping the floor. Every part of me wanted to run, to scream, to undo the last 48 hours. But then Claire dropped the final blow. "She's not just leaving, Alex. She's planning to disappear. Tonight." I froze. "She thinks it's the only way," Claire said, clutching my arm. "But if she leaves, you'll never see her again. Unless," her eyes burned into mine, "unless you choose me." The cafe suddenly felt like a trap, two sisters pulling me in opposite directions, one with secrets and one with confessions. And as the truth crashed down on me, I realized I had only hours to decide. Chase the woman I thought I knew, or face the forbidden truth sitting right in front of me. And in that moment, with Claire's hand tightening around mine, my phone lit up on the table. It was a message from Emily. "I'm sorry. Goodbye." My hands shook as I stared at Emily's message glowing on the screen. Just 2 words, "I'm sorry," and a goodbye that felt like a knife twisting in my chest. Claire's grip on my arm was desperate, but all I could think was, if Emily was really leaving tonight, this was my last chance. I pulled away, ignoring Claire's pleading eyes, and rushed out of the cafe. My car engine roared as I sped through streets that blurred into one long, frantic chase. Every red light, every turn, I imagined her slipping further away. Memories flashed in fragments, her laugh echoing in the kitchen, her hand brushing mine in crowded places, the way she always left that closet light on. Small things that suddenly meant everything. I finally reached our house. The door was unlocked, the air inside heavy and still. Her suitcase was by the door. She was sitting on the edge of the couch, head in her hands. For a moment, neither of us spoke. When she finally looked up, her eyes were red, swollen. "You weren't supposed to know," she whispered. "Then why, Emily? Why leave without telling me the truth?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Because Claire, she's in love with you. I thought if I left quietly, it would end before it ruined everything. I couldn't make you choose between us." The weight of her words sank deep. She wasn't leaving because she stopped loving me. She was leaving because she thought love itself had become poisoned, twisted by something none of us asked for. I sat beside her, fighting back my own tears. You should have told me. We could have faced it together. Hiding it. That's what broke us, not Claire. She shook her head. I didn't want you to resent me, or her. I thought walking away was the only way to keep you whole. Silence filled the room, the kind of silence that felt final. I wanted to beg her to stay, to promise we could fix it. But deep down, I knew she had already decided. Sometimes love doesn't end in screaming fights or betrayals. It ends in quiet sacrifices no one asked for. She stood, gripping the handle of her suitcase. Maybe one day you'll understand. And then she was gone. I sat there for hours, the house echoing with emptiness. Claire called, but I didn't answer. I didn't chase either of them. Because maybe the cruelest truth of all was that love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go, even when it rips you apart. Looking back, I don't know if Emily will ever come back, or if Claire will ever forgive me for walking out of that cafe. But I do know this: secrets destroy faster than any betrayal. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the truth always finds its way out, whether we're ready for it or not. And that night, as I turned off the closet light for the very first time, I finally understood some endings aren't meant to be fixed. They're meant to be felt. I stayed frozen in that quiet house for what felt like forever, the ticking clock louder than my own heartbeat. Emily's absence was everywhere: her jacket on the chair, her favorite mug on the counter, the faint trace of her perfume on the pillow. But what hurt most wasn't the silence she left behind. It was the choice she had made, to carry the burden alone instead of letting me share it. When Claire finally showed up at the door later that night, her face streaked with tears, I didn't let her in. She stood on the porch, shivering, whispering through the crack of the door. I never wanted to hurt either of you. I couldn't keep it inside anymore. Her words broke me in a different way. Because for all the chaos she had caused, there was truth in her eyes. Messy, selfish, painful truth, but still truth. And I realized something in that moment. People don't always love the way they're supposed to. Sometimes they love in ways that are complicated, inconvenient, even destructive. And it doesn't make them bad, it just makes them human. I told Claire gently, I can't be the person you want me to be. Not now, maybe not ever. She nodded, her shoulders trembling, and walked away without another word. Watching her go, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. Two sisters, both bound to me in ways that never should have crossed, had slipped out of my life in the span of one day. The following weeks were quiet. No texts, no explanations, no sudden knock at the door. I thought maybe Emily would call, or Claire would send another letter. But neither did. For the first time in years, it was just me. And in that loneliness, I began to see things clearly. I realized how blind I had been, ignoring the cracks, the subtle signs, convincing myself that love was unshakable just because I wanted it to be. I had trusted the surface and never looked deeper. And maybe that was the real lesson. Relationships aren't about pretending everything's fine or protecting each other from the truth. They're about facing the hard things together, even if it hurts. Did Emily ever stop loving me? No, I don't think so. Did Claire really mean to ruin us? Probably not. But love, when left in the dark, grows into something unrecognizable. And once secrets take root, they choke out everything else. Months later, I still catch myself reaching for the closet light switch, the way Emily always left it on. Sometimes I turn it off. Sometimes I leave it glowing through the night. Maybe it's my way of remembering that even in the darkest rooms, a little light makes all the difference. I don't know where Emily is now, or if our paths will ever cross again. But I do know this: love isn't about avoiding heartbreak. It's about being brave enough to tell the truth, even when it risks everything. Because silence is the real goodbye.